Need for Speed series has gone through a lot of changes in the last 18 years. From high-end sports cars on scenic roads to heavily modified tuners in city streets, this franchise has tried repeatedly to reinvent itself. While some outings have been more successful than others, 2010's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit from Criterion Games was a high watermark for the series, and arcade racers in general. Electronic Arts and Criterion Games have teamed up again for Need for Speed Most Wanted, a game that mixes elements from Criterion's own Burnout Paradise with a wider car selection and Hot Pursuit's intense police chases. An open-world racer with a strong multiplayer focus, this game looks to prove Need for Speed still has plenty of fuel left in the tank. Need for Speed Most Wanted puts you in the fictional city of Fairhaven, trying to make your way up a list of 10 most wanted drivers. Gaining notoriety and the chance to challenge the other drivers means earning speed points, or SP for short. You'll gain SP by winning races, evading the police, and generally causing mayhem around town. Take down a rival racer, earn some SP. Set a new speed record, more SP. More difficult events will always give you more speed points, but there are so many fun ways to acquire them that you'll likely never go more than a couple minutes without nabbing some. Once you have enough SP, you'll be able to challenge one of the 10 most wanted drivers to a race. These events reminded me of boss battles. They were long sprints that always drew the attention of the police, so one-on-one battles to the finish quickly became crowded affairs. After winning one of these races, you'll need to wreck the other driver to take their car and move up the most wanted list. If you can't catch your opponent, they'll be set loose in the city. I thought this meant I would have to hunt them down, and got really upset the first time one got away. Mercifully though, they will pop up on their own and race past you, daring you to take them out until you finally can. These moments show off Need for Speed Most Wanted's biggest design strength. While you can fast travel to cars or races you've already discovered, you'll need to drive to new events. Cop chases will arise organically, adding more excitement to between-race jaunts. On top of that, just driving around in different cars can be pretty entertaining. Every part of this enormous open world has been constructed to optimize fun. From tight turns in city streets to wide curving highways and off-road jumps, Fairhaven feels like a vehicular playground. There are over 100 cars hidden throughout the city for you to find and drive, billboards to crash through, and restricted gates to knock down. What makes Most Wanted's design so ingenious is that it always keeps you driving, and thus enjoying all of its speed tests, sprint races, and pursuits without ever taking you out of the driver's seat. Thanks to the Easy Drive system, you won't even have to stop driving to select new destinations, change vehicle specs, or even switch cars. Also, everything you do in Fairhaven is tracked by Most Wanted's Autolog 2.0 system, which compares your times and speed records to everyone on your friends list, and alerts you when a friend breaks one of your records. Add to that a robust multiplayer suite that lets you drive around the city setting up challenges and generally goofing off with like-minded racers, and you have a game that not only begs you to keep playing, but incentivizes doing so. Everything here coalesces so nicely and makes it easy to lose yourself in the wildly chaotic and engrossing city of Fairhaven. Revving engines, crunching metal, and blaring sirens make up the vast majority of what you'll hear every time you play Need for Speed Most Wanted. And that's how it should be. There is a friendly female voice that chimes in occasionally to tell you when new events are available, but it's never intrusive.
You beat your first Most Wanted driver.
Licensed tracks make up Most Wanted's soundtrack and run the gamut from hip-hop to dubstep. Songs are upbeat, fit the high-octane action on screen, and generally made me feel like driving fast and recklessly. Sound effects are distinct and well-produced, lending extra intensity to Most Wanted's crazier moments. During crashes, certain sounds will drop out to accentuate impacts. Tires squeal as cars drift through massive turns. Everything from the echoes of running engines while racing through a tunnel to the scraping of cars against guardrails sounds great. Need for Speed Most Wanted's phenomenal audio presentation kept my heart racing and helped make every race feel wild and frenetic. From intricately detailed car models to sweeping vistas, everything you'll see in Need for Speed Most Wanted looks exemplary. Perpetually wet streets glisten, reflecting brake lights and the cityscape. Scraping cars will throw sparks and cast yellow light on the pavement. High dynamic range lighting bursts on screen when you emerge from a dark tunnel back into stark daylight. Debris will whip past your car as racers take out benches, streetlights, and fire hydrants. All of these things happen frequently and never hinder Most Wanted's greatest visual asset, its sense of speed. The slightly shaky camera seems like it's struggling to keep up with your car, giving particularly wild moments an added sense of desperation. Racing with the fastest cars often looks terrifying and more like a battle for survival than a mere exhibition of speed. Crashes are appropriately intense and the resulting car damage looks mostly accurate. Bumpers will crack and break, trunks will yawn open, and repeat damage will leave vehicles riddled with dents and scrapes. There is a strange joy in seeing a ludicrously expensive car fall into disrepair. That said, as a fan of the Burnout series, I was hoping for even more ridiculous crashes and car body deformation. Even after the most brutal collisions, Most Wanted's rides still retain their shapes. Don't expect to see crushed hoods or broken axles. That's ultimately a pretty small gripe. Need for Speed Most Wanted is a beautiful racer with a strong visual identity that deftly merges speed and chaos with unparalleled quality. I'm the first to admit that I'm not the biggest fan of the Need for Speed series. I enjoyed the first few games, but after EA started trying to appeal to the Fast and Furious crowd with heavy car modifications and storylines with obnoxious characters, my interest waned. The Burnout series, on the other hand, held my attention with its emphasis on wrecks, taking out fellow racers, and Burnout Paradise's open-world playground. I wanted to review Need for Speed Most Wanted because it looked like Burnout developer Criterion was simply making a sequel to Burnout Paradise under the Need for Speed moniker. I was half right. Takedowns are here in force, and Fairhaven is definitely a large playable space. But police chases and the way these cars handle make Need for Speed Most Wanted a unique beast. This is definitely an arcade racer that doesn't strive for realism the way Forza or Gran Turismo do. But the driving mechanics here are more realistic and nuanced than those in Burnout games. You'll still be tapping the brake to initiate a drift, and using nitrous earned through reckless driving, but each car handles differently, making this a more challenging game than I was anticipating. It has a great quasi-sim arcade feel that made me feel like I really had to work to win races and set speed records. The constant threats of police involvement and general city traffic add to the challenge and make certain every event is challenging and engaging. You'll also be able to modify your cars with elements like nitrous, off-road tires, or a lightweight chassis, to name a few. These are earned by winning specific events with the car you wish to modify, and can drastically change how each vehicle handles. There's just enough customization to keep things interesting and give each motor carriage its own feel. This game may be the result of elements cobbled together over the years, but it feels less like a Frankenstein monster than a tasty goulash. Playing Need for Speed Most Wanted is a delight that challenged me and kept me focused and entertained in a way few racers ever have. Getting to the top of the Most Wanted list took me about 10 hours. That's a decent amount of playtime for a single-player racing campaign, but it only amounts to 65% completion, according to in-game stats. There is an enormous amount of content here, whether it's collecting cars and completing their specific events, or scouring the city for billboards to smash. Add to that a very fun multiplayer mode that lets you and 7 other players drive around Fairhaven just playing around or taking part in races and stunt challenges. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is immensely entertaining and features countless hours of joy for anyone who likes intense action, solid driving mechanics, and fun in general.